Good evening and welcome to the December 18th meeting of the Falmouth Conservation Commission. This meeting is being held virtually via Zoom video conference and is also being broadcast by FCTV on cable channel 9. As this meeting is being recorded by Zoom and broadcast by FCTV, please be cognizant of what you say, how you say it, and what can be seen and heard in your background. We have a full complement of commissioners tonight. Thank you all for your dedication. I'd like to remind you guys after commenting, I'll call on each of you in turn, and that all votes are done by roll call, even if you've made the motion or the second. To our public attendees, at any time during this meeting, you may enter any comments or questions via the chat function. At the appropriate time, they will be read into the record. If you'd like to participate in a specific hearing, let us know via the chat function. Then at the appropriate time, I will call for public comment. When you are selected, you will be moved into the hearing as a participant. As such, you must have your video enabled, be succinct, and respectful of others. Public comments will be limited to 3 minutes each. Regarding RDAs, under a request for determination of applicability, the applicant is asking the Commission to determine if the provisions of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and/or the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw apply to their proposed project. A negative determination is that the provisions of the Act and/or the bylaw do not apply. Therefore, the project may proceed as proposed. A positive determination means the provisions of the Act and/or the bylaw do in fact apply and/or may require some conditions. Therefore, the project would require a notice of intent application. So as an applicant, you kind of want to hear a negative determination. And for anyone waiting for a particular hearing tonight, so that you're not waiting unnecessarily, the following hearing is expected to be continued, 318 Sipawasset Road. All right, we got a long night ahead of us, so let's get a jump on it. All right, first up, vote minutes, December 4, 2024.
Mr. Chairman, I reviewed the minutes and I move approval as written, pending any comments this evening. Patton.
Bird, second.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second to accept the minutes as presented. Questions or comments? All right, we're voting. Betsy.
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney.
Bird, aye.
Matthews abstain. Kevin.
O'Brien, aye.
Maury.
Carlo Hawks, aye.
Ron.
Driscoll, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
With one abstention, we have accepted the minutes as presented. Thank you, Kristen. Next up is a request for a continuance under a notice of intent. Chris Smith, Clancy Construction, 318 Sipawasset Road, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to raise, R-A-Z-E, an existing single-family dwelling, construct a new single-family dwelling with attached garage, deck, and patio, and upgrade the existing sewage disposal system. Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant is requesting a continuance until January 15th.
Bird, so move.
Driscoll, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to continue this hearing until January 15th. Questions or comments? All right, we're voting on the continuance. Betsy.
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney.
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin.
O'Brien, aye.
Maury.
Carlo Hawks, aye.
Ron.
Driscoll, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have continued this hearing until January 15th. Next up is a request for determination of applicability. James and Colleen Imermino, 143 Meadow Neck Road, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to reconstruct an existing deck. Alyssa.
The applicant has requested a continuance until January 8th.
Bird, so move.
Driscoll, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to continue this request until January 8th. Questions or comments? We're voting on the continuance. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Carla Hawks, aye.
Ron,
Driscoll, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have continued this request until January 8th. Next up is a continued request for determination of applicability. Howard and Cynthia Kagan, 55 Bourne Pond Road, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to fill and abandon a failed sewage disposal system and to install a new Title V sewage disposal system. Melissa.
Staff recommends a -3 under the state and a -2 under the bylaw. Resource area boundaries are not confirmed.
Bird, so move.
Driscoll, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to accept staff's recommendation. Questions or comments? We're voting to accept staff's recommendation. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Carla Hawks, aye.
Ron,
Driscoll, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have accepted staff's recommendation. Thank you to the staff. Next up are hearings under a notice of intent. All hearings of the Falmouth Conservation Commission are held simultaneously under the authorities of the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Falmouth Wetlands Bylaw. Although a single decision of the commission is issued, it represents a separate decision under each authority. As a reminder, public commenting is limited to 3 minutes. So I encourage you to stay within the purview of this board, which are the rules and regulations of the Wetlands Protection Act and the Wetlands Bylaw and how they pertain to a particular application. The chair reserves the right to stop any commenting that is disparaging or inconsequential to the hearing. First up, Melissa M. Bedford, Trust Agreement, 118 Oyster Pond Road, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to raise, RAZE, an existing single-family dwelling, construct a new single-family dwelling with attached garage, shed, deck, and patio, and upgrade the existing sewage disposal system. Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have promoted Tom Bunker up to present his project.
Mr. Bunker, you're up, sir.
I'm up, thank you. Yes, for the record, my name is Tom Bunker. I'm a land surveyor with BSS Design, and we've prepared this plan for Melissa Bedford. And if I may, I will share my screen.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And just get up here first to show you on Google Maps where we are. This is always, you can see, and the property is located at the intersection of Oyster Pond Road and Surf Drive near the bike path on the very southwest corner of Oyster Pond. And now I will put up a one plan. Get that out of the way, if I may. This plan, this is sort of a colorized version of the plan that was filed. It's easier to see some of the resource areas on this. Where is that? So this is, I can go back and show you the existing conditions plan, but this is the proposed plan, and I put these resource area colors on that a little better. So this, the Oyster Pond is up along here, and the waters of Oyster Pond continue down along the north side of the lot in this location. The FEMA velocity zone runs along this line here, the red sort of red purple line here. And then of course, then the Falmouth wetland regulations velocity zone in this location. We have a coastal bank all the way along it. Some of this bank has been armored for quite some time along here. And this in here is not armored. It's just kind of a steep bank that drops off, probably created by Phil sometime way in the past. BVW, bordering BVW is through here, flagged by LEC. This is the entrance to Trunk River, going out this way under Surf Drive, under the pavement. And we also have this orangey kind of line is the Natural Heritage Endangered Species Habitat 2,158. So that occupies the waterfront side of the lot. And of course, each of these has a zone A, showing in red. Zone A's of the 50-foot wetland zone A. There's a coastal bank zone A, land under a salt pond zone B here. Of course, there's salt pond, 75-foot zone A, the land under a salt pond. This location, so the site's covered with resource areas and their buffers, as you can see. Everything is in flood zone, so landward of the velocity zone, the FEMA velocity zone, then we have the rest of the lot is covered with zone AE elevation 13. So that's the recap of the resource areas and the buffers. Let me I'll get the plan up here showing the. Actually, I showed the newer one. No. There was a revised plan sent in, which I will get to, but this is the existing conditions plan, which is, of course, the same on both. We have this house here. You can see its outline. I ran down all of the coverages in the various resource areas and the distances from the resource areas, such as along here. The house is only, the corner of the garage is 9 feet from the BVW. Here it's 10 feet from the BVW. A little bit more room here, 38 feet to the top of Coastal Bank, 47 feet from the top of Coastal Bank. They're all within, as I said, the zone A of the coastal, the salt pond, land under a water body salt pond. Little septic system in here, which is too small. It's undersized by current Title V. It is less than 100 feet to a wetland, and it is less than 5 feet from groundwater. So that's non-conforming. The house, the floor is only at 9.5, and the flood zone is 13. And so that's non-conforming. It's partially in the Falmouth velocity zone, the garage and here, all this enclosed area in the Falmouth velocity zone. Has no flood vents, that type of thing. Then I'll go back to this plan. And so I added on the prints I sent in, I had this red line here, which shows the outline of the existing house. And so you can see that it's pulled well back away from the oyster pond. It went up into here. The existing patio, I did not put this line on the proposed prints I sent you, but I added it here. This is the proposed patio the existing patio and brick walk through this location here. So there is patio we've put out here, but it's further back from the resource area than the existing patio. The house has moved landward quite a bit, like from 10 to 20 feet. The existing house is up here and it's moved down. This is an enclosed area in the Falmouth velocity zone. There's a small amount here in the Falmouth velocity zone, but it's unenclosed. That's porch on posts, no enclosure here. And so all of the enclosed structure is out of the velocity zone. But moving it away from the pond has also moved it closer to the road. So there's a tighter area, but we could fit in a septic system here. There's more of a retaining wall, 10 feet high, or rather elevation 10. It's from 3 to 4 feet high. In this location, the elevation is around 6, so the wall is 4 feet high in this location, but it's 3 to 3.5 feet high. Actually only 2.5 feet high from 7.5 to 10 here. So it's not too bad. There's a row of shrubbery along the top edge of the wall in this location. And this has a tank with a pump chamber pumped up to pressure distribution type of system, which is beneficial because it spreads the effluent over a greater area. And there's also this rectangle here, which is room to put in a innovative alternative type treatment, septic treatment technology when that requirement arises, which is not too far in the future, but that space is reserved there. The calculations and the existing existing coverage, which is itemized on the first page, is 7,000 square feet, 7,017, and it's being reduced to 6,079. So there's a 938 square foot reduction in zone A, but there is an increase of 600 square feet in zone B because things have been moved landward. But there's still overall a 336 square foot decrease in coverage with this plan, partly because the driveway has gotten considerably shorter because the house has moved forward. And so this area here is currently stone driveway area, and that's being revegetated with native shrubs as restoration, not mitigation. There were 2 beech trees in this. There are 3, but 2 of them had to be removed. Didn't show it on here. There was this kind of a 6-inch diameter holly tree and 2 beech trees here that are in. They're big, but somewhat questionable health. Some canker, and the top is broken off on one of them. So we have 2 trees going in here in a good location near the resource area. Staff pointed out that there's from 1989 order, an amended order of conditions, which required a 10-foot wide buffer planting along Oyster Pond. So I've added that on here. There are several shrubs in here remaining from that buffer planting, but now it's proposed to be fully planted. There are a couple other items on that as far as removing a picket fence and removing some chicken wire or whatever else here that is not labeled on this plan yet. And there is a lot of arborvitae right through here, or just a hedge of arborvitae, which because of its proximity, some of it will come down, and the staff would like that to be replanted, and of course we will. It's not shown. I didn't get to planting that. It takes a little bit more more thought than drawing a hatch pattern on the plan, but we will get to doing that. That's the proposal. I'll take your questions and see where we go from there. So I will stop my share. Okay.
Thanks, Tom. Jen?
Thank you, Tom. So you've added the former buffer zone. What did you say about the chicken wire fence? Did you add the note to remove
I
it?
did not add the note to that yet.
Okay, and
I'll take care of that.
Okay, and then you're gonna add the other plantings?
Yes.
Do you think, okay, we'll leave it to the board whether they want to see that or they just want to condition that, but I think those addressed, I believe that addressed everything, so thank you, Tom. No more questions, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Alyssa?
Thank you. I think the one other note was, I think it was in your narrative, Tom, that there was a chance the dogwood might not make it. So
Okay.
just to note that something should go back over there if it doesn't.
Yes, it's a little close to limit of work, but yeah, we can replace that if it gets damaged, destroyed. Yeah.
All right. Commissioner comments. Betsy?
Good evening, Tom. I think you did a good job fitting this in with the space that you had.
I don't know how I always get these shoehorn jobs. But,
Why you always get them?
yeah.
Well, it's fine. I mean, as long as you define the outline of the shoehorn, you're all set. Thanks. That's all, Jamie.
All right. Courtney?
No coal.
No cool. Oh, good.
Anyway, Tom, couple of questions. Why not bother to put in the D-night system now?
Well, I'm working on this, on the septic system with Mike Borselli, and so we're talking about that. And the Board of Health, I was at Board of Health Monday for a different hearing, and it might actually, I have to review it. I might actually be required now. Mike suggested doing it now because who would want to dig that up? So if we come to that conclusion, then yes, I'll run that by at least the administrator as far as putting that in now. It shouldn't be a problem.
So like Surf Drive isn't on the town sewering list, is it?
I don't think it is down there, no.
Okay. And the beech trees, that's a real problem, is the blight. Have you had an arborist look at them?
No, I didn't. I looked at them.
What do you?
All I know is, the top of one that blew off in some wind, and I know that causes it's a ragged break up top, and it happened to a tree at our house, and it just rotted from the top down. The other one with the canker, I just self-diagnosed.
Would it make sense to just figure that you've got to take those down and replace the trees as part of this project?
Yeah, well, I'm putting two trees in to replace those two beech trees. They're further back toward Oyster Pond. There is also a holly tree there, which it's a large bush rather than, but it's considered a tree in your regulations. That is coming out.
You've done a nice job, Tom. That's fine. No coal for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I agree, Tom. Did a great job getting everything in there. So you were the honorary cobbler. Kevin?
No further comments other than very good job, Tom. Very
Thanks.
good job.
Good. Maury?
The only question I had, Tom, everybody asked the ones I was going to, was I read your little letter. So work is being proposed on any town property at this point?
Yeah, I could get into that, or if you want, at this point, no, because
Okay.
I got a call from the Natural Heritage, and it would have involved a lot of work, restoration, everything else. So I'll wait till I expect going through Board of Appeals. They will, as a referral from the engineering department, they'll want that stuff removed, and then I'll come back and figure out how we can remove that without too much ruckus.
Okay, that's all. And I have to ditto for what Courtney said, at this point, just put the tank
Yeah.
in now.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Especially with all the nice walls and, it's gonna be beautiful. Thank you.
All right, Ron,
No, I'm all set, except the same thing. Tom did a great job fitting that spot in. It's a very complicated site. Thank you.
Steve,
I'm all set, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, and thank you, Tom.
I'll have to give a shout out to the architect also for making the house fit. Dave Siegel.
there you go.
Yeah.
All right, Jen, is there anything in the public chat function, please?
I know that the executive director of OPET said they wish to comment on this project, but I haven't seen it chat yet.
That's
Oh, here we
peaceful.
go. Here we go. It's from Chris Brothers. As a key of Oyster Pond Environmental Trust, as a key stakeholder, the Oyster Pond Environmental Trust is focused on ensuring the health and ecological integrity of the pond, rather than advocating for a specific methods such as septic upgrades or future sewer connections. We wish to emphasize the overarching goal of lowering nitrogen inputs and improving water quality in the pond. This approach ensures OPET maintains its commitment to the health of the pond while leaving the decision on the specifics of the septic method to the homeowners and regulatory bodies based on their unique circumstances and regulatory obligations. That said, it is important that the homeowners are made aware of and consider the currently available AI denitrifying systems and also the potential of needing to connect to sewer systems in the future. This property is immediately adjacent to the herring run, and we're controlling water levels in the pond, and any construction should take into account protecting both of these. Thank you, Chris.
All right,
Yes, the Board of Health, or the Health Department, actually the DEP has kind of a short list when you get into these projects now that require the, what's it called? Best available nitrogen reducing technology. The acronym is BANNERT. So there are actually only 4 technologies that they will approve in situations like this in the nitrogen sensitive areas. So the Board of Health and DEP are tightening the noose somewhat. So there's not a lot to choose from.
Make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Driscoll
Bird second.
all right, we have a motion and multiple seconds to close the hearing. Last call, questions or comments?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to go over Tom, so you're going to give us a revised plan with replacing the arborvitaes, a note to remove the chicken wire. You've already added the missing buffer, and a note that you'll replace the dogwood if it does not survive.
Yes.
And a note
Yes,
to remove the picket fence if it's not on the plan. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you,
All
Mr.
right.
Chairman.
Duly noted. We have a motion and a second to close the hearing. We're voting. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Arlo Hawks, aye.
Ron,
Driscoll, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have closed this hearing. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, and all have a happy holiday season.
Same to you,
You
Tom.
as well,
Same to
Tom.
you,
Hi,
Tom.
Tom. Happy holidays.
All right, I'll see you in a few weeks.
Okay.
All right, bye-bye.
All right. Next one had been previously continued until January 15th. Brings us to Josephine F. Is it DeGive? I think. Thomas S. Crane, trustee of the Thomas S. Crane 2000 Revocable Trust, and Charles M. Crane, trustee of the Brewer Crane Family Trust, 37 Hinckley Road, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to create a berm, renourish and revegetate a coastal dune, and grade a coastal beach. Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I am promoting Chuck Rowland up from Cape and Islands to present his project, and Mr. Crane has his hand raised. He previously sent, I'm going to promote the homeowner as well, but I think he's just wants to be available in case the board has any questions.
Excellent. Mr. Rowland, you're up, sir.
Thank you very much. I'm here before you representing the owners of 37 Hinckley Road. I'd also like to mention that I believe Ben Fairbanks with Fairbanks Ecological is.
Oh, yep. Sorry about that, Chuck.
All
I'm
good.
promoting Benjamin Fairbanks as well. Thank you.
Great. So I'm going to share my screen as I kind of go through this. Let's see if it pops up here. Can everyone see my my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Great. So like I said, Chuck Rowland, Cape and Islands Engineering. I'm representing the owners of 37 Hinckley Road in Falmouth. And I'm sure that all of you are somewhat aware of the area down here on the southeast side of Woods Hole. So we'll get right into it. So presently the site is located on Juniper Point and Woods Hole. The lot contains a single-family dwelling, boathouse, brick patio, and also appliances including riprap, revetment, retaining walls, gravel driveway, lawn, landscaping, areas of natural vegetation. Property is situated atop the naturally occurring hill here, and overlooking Little Harbor to the east and Great Harbor to the west. As on the other plan, as you can see from the images, that the seawall and sand vegetation are annually washed away. And you can also see on our plan generally where this is located, where we'll be working. And it's important for the sand to be within the coastal dune to maintain the structural integrity of this wall. And so the project as proposed, we're working with Fairbanks Ecological to design, to renourish and plant, to protect the seawall and coastal dune from erosion and other impacts associated with major storm events. This work will be carried out with a 900 square feet long exposed area with a seawall in this area, and I can zoom in. And we'll be nourishing approximately 100 cubic yards of sand on the seawall. Half of the sand will be used for the dune replenishment, and half of it will be used for sacrificial berm. We'll be planting about 1,400 culms of American beach grass, as well as shrubs, as you can see here, and which includes sweet fern, beach plum, sumac, and then we have the planting plan that shows that a little bit better, which is all of this. And we are also requesting the sand be removed from the beach here in perpetuity. I think that there were a couple of staff comments that I can address now if you'd like. We updated the notice of intent. We had a Scribner's error in the length of the sacrificial berm, and staff raised comments about the removal of the sand on the beach in perpetuity. And the RDA issued in March of 2024 is valid until 2020 now due to the Permit Extension Act. So we're okay with that, but obviously we are requesting it in perpetuity. If the commission would allow that, that's great. If not, we're okay with reapplying for it when that expires. And I'm going to have Ben Fairbanks kind of take over the rest of the talking points in the planting. Do you want to share the screen, or you want to continue seeing my screen, Ben?
Yeah, actually, I have some pictures to share. So if I could share my screen, and I have that plan up as
Great.
well. So, let's see, share. Hold on one second. Give me a minute here. Do I have the ability? Do I need to be authorized to share my screen?
Ben, you
Consider
should be
yourself
able to see it.
authorized.
Because I do not see an option on my screen. So,
Ben, it should be on the bottom. If you bring your mouse down to the bottom, you should see audio,
yeah.
video, all the way to the left. You should see a green button that says share.
Oh, now it's there. It wasn't there before. Okay. All right. So, I'm just going to walk you all through just going back to this visual of just kind of like a profile of the existing conditions and the vegetative profile, just kind of zooming in a little bit. You can just see over the years, that, how if you compare from this point to this point, that there's actually an increase in vegetation, but then a decrease again. So it appears, that with the existence of the Rosa rugosa, which is the plant that is abundant along this area, a lot of people confuse the existence of Rosa rugosa next to eroding areas as an erosion control plant. So here's the picture of up to the northern section here, where my cursor is. So this is what it looks like. This is the Rosa rugosa doing very well. So it's often mistaken as an erosion control plant because it merely survives erosion events. And so you see this is an example of what's happening here, where then in all of this area where the Rosa rugosa was is gone. And so this is really kind of a choke point when you have the bottom of the seawall intersecting with mean high water. It becomes like a very fragile area in terms of the substrate holding it together. And Rosa rugosa just has very shallow roots and doesn't really penetrate that deep layer. So we decided to think about plants that would have that kind of structural integrity that this soil could have, or the backfill of all of the renourishment to protect that investment, and to just choose plants that have a deeper root system. So the American beach grass, after renourishment, will do a great job, and then have, quantifying that next to a sacrificial berm in the event that there was any major disturbance that might take away some of the beach grass. Basically, that there's that kind of like backup plan in the event of a huge storm. So first and foremost, the beach grass serves that purpose. Moving on down the bank, where it's still very sparse, but the staff noted that there was a lot of existing vegetation where we were proposing plants. So just going back to the planting plan here. So this area where we are proposing the 3 species of thicket plants are kind of in this area. And essentially we have no intention of removing any vegetation. There's no existence of invasive species aside from the various hand pulling of weeds. So no plants would be removed. This would be merely a supplement to the existing vegetation to create a thicket area that supports what's more upland in towards this house in the back. So just adding to that thicket species and just kind of choosing fragrant sumac and the sweet fern for their kind of low growing habit that kind of adds to what the beach grass is doing in terms of trapping sand and kind of building that deeper root system that the existing Rosa rugosa kind of lacks. So that's kind of the rationale behind the planting. But at this point, I'll just open it up to questions whenever they come. So
Thank you. You can stop sharing.
okay.
Thanks. Jen.
Thank you for that explanation, Ben. We were kind of wondering why you chose the species you did. So that's interesting to know about the Rosa rugosa being very shallow rooted. So thank you for that explanation. If I missed it, what invasives are you proposing to remove?
None. That's I was saying that there aren't any invasives on
Okay,
site.
okay,
So
sorry. Okay.
I was just saying there's like a couple weeds that
Okay,
you might want to pull.
perfect.
You know, like-
Thank you. All right, I don't have any additional questions, Mr. Chairman. Oh, I do have one comment. Chuck?
Yes, ma'am.
Falmouth does not issue forever permits. I'm sorry.
We're allowed to ask.
You are allowed to ask and you're allowed to say no. No, but this particular permit will be good for 5 years, given that Permit Extension Act. So this permit will be good. Once issued, will be valid for 5 years.
Great.
So you at least have a little bit more time, because we do know that that site gets hit pretty hard in the winter and that sand does accumulate, and that this is a practice that has been done in the past. And thank you, Mr. Crane, for permitting it. So thank you.
All right, Alyssa.
Just one follow-up question. Sorry if you guys had already said it. Where is the storage location for the equipment that you'll be using out there? That was one of Fallon's notes on the staff report.
I'm happy to address it, Ben. We were thinking of having the access. I believe there's a place we could pull in along the existing. I think that we'd be storing it like on Hinckley Road, as close to the existing boathouse as possible. Essentially in the gravel road.
Okay, thank you.
Does that work, Ben?
Mm-hmm. Tom.
Yep.
Mr. Crane.
Yeah, exactly what was said. There's right up towards the public section of Hinckley Road. There's an area next to the boathouse that can easily store the equipment, if that's suitable for staff.
Thank you. That's all.
All right. Commissioner comments. Courtney.
I have no comments.
All right. Kevin.
No comments, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right. Maury.
No comments, thank you. Nice presentation and
Yes.
interesting about the Rosa rugosa. Thank you.
Ron.
Yeah, it looks like a good project. Good luck. I hope it works.
Steve.
My only question is, why don't you continue the plantings all the way up to the boathouse? Since the erosion.
I can answer.
Okay, go ahead.
Sure. Yeah. No, I can answer. Essentially, well, I mean, the plantings where seaward from where the berm is proposed, we are proposing just purely American beach grass there. In the event that there is some kind of event that creates scarping or erosion, that the beach grass is the most resilient to any kind of sand shifting around and can grow through that. So we're kind of focusing the shrubs more along where it's kind of like the upland area closer to an upland dune, like where there are other shrubs kind of protecting that buffer. And then just kind of having a whole suite of beach grass up into the existing Rosa rugosa, where we propose to leave that, just leave well enough alone type of thing, you know? So,
No, I'm sorry, but on a previous conservation visit, I happened to have an opportunity to have a small problem right in the area of the boathouse with my vehicle. So I was hoping that you could, make sure that the road, I'll never be back there. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I'm done. I got stuck in the sand at the boathouse.
That happens.
All right. Mr. Crane?
Yeah, just a comment to Mr. Patton's comment. We just got really nailed really badly last year. And I think Mr. Patton may have come before the grading. I actually invite you back. It's an eminently passable road now.
Thank you. We serve on the
That's all right.
CPC together.
We need to give them a little challenge now and then. All right, Betsy.
Looks like a good plan. Interesting rationale for the planting, where and what, and you have to do the best you can. Try to keep the sand in place. That's all, Jamie.
We just leave Steve's car there. It'll hold the sand. All right. Jen, is there anything in the public chat function, please?
Nothing in the public chat, Mr. Chairman.
Thank
I'll
you.
make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Bird second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to close the hearing. Last call, questions or comments? We're voting to close the hearing. Betsy?
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney?
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin?
O'Brien, aye.
Maury?
All of Hawk's eye.
Ron?
Driscoll, aye.
Steve?
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have closed this hearing. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. All right, next up, David and Kim Capobianco, 316 Edgewater Drive East, Falmouth, Mass. For permission to raise RAZE an existing single-family dwelling and construct a new single-family dwelling with garage slab, upgrade the existing sewage disposal system, and reconfigure the driveway. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Mark or Chuck, please raise your hand. Which one is going to be pursued? Thank you, Mark. I'm promoting Mark Dibb from Cape and Islands to present his project.
Promotions are good this time of year.
Mhm.
Mr. Dibb, you're up, sir.
Good evening, Mark Dibb with Cape and Islands Engineering, presenting for the applicant at 316 Edgewater Drive East. With your permission, I'd like to share my screen.
Yes, sir.
So we filed a notice of intent for the property at 316 Edgewater Drive East for the demolition of the existing house, which is this darker dashed line with some of the tan outline you see, and also demolish a shed that is, or remove a shed that is on site. The existing resource areas on the property, there's Eel Pond to kind of the southeast, a coastal beach associated with Eel Pond, and existing some riprap with a timber capped metal sheet pile bulkhead that has been replaced in the last 10 or 20 years. And from there is the Falmouth Resource Area Buffer Zone A and B that come into the property. The southeasterly portion of the site is also within the velocity zone. This blue line is the velocity zone line, and the remainder of the property is in the AE12 flood zone. So we are proposing to demolish that existing house, rebuild a new house to flood standards. You'll see it is set back, not a lot, but further back onto the site. There is this gray line with the V is the Falmouth V zone line. And what we have done is incorporated a section of full foundation or crawl space foundation, and also included 200 additional square feet of enclosure right in this area, just to add some additional storage to that lower level. The rest of the house will be supported on piles, and it is intended to not have breakaway panels for those other walls in the velocity zone. They will just be open pile supported structure there. Other components of the project is a new Title V septic system out in front of the house. A staff question was, where's the existing system? Board of Health did actually not have a file on this property, but the owner did provide some details that there is a tank in a leach field in this area. We will be adding that to the site plan. The couple other points of the project, this concrete patio, based on a review of some aerial photographs, has existed for a very long time. I believe you can see it even in the 1968 photo. However, the shed did appear sometime between 2014 and 2016, as identified by staff. We had taken credit for that as existing development or lot coverage. So we'll be modifying mitigation calculations to not include that as an existing condition in the existing developed area, which will adjust the mitigation calculations. We have worked, and I did just get them, but just in the last few minutes, on architectural drawings that do reflect no breakaway panels and accurately reflect these. Staff had identified that the stairways coming out off this deck and out the side entrance were a bit different. We've updated those, so we'll be providing those to staff. So that should be coordinated and the breakaway panels removed from those drawings. And the shed, our buffer zones were identified based on the A being from land under ocean. Staff did have a comment, was the top of the bulkhead a coastal bank? It does meet the town of Falmouth definition for a coastal bank, being a engineered structure. So we will be adding a coastal bank line across the top of the structure, and adjusting. The A zone will stay the same, B zone will adjust some, and we'll update all the related changes to that. At this point, I would like to open up to any questions the commission may have. And like I said, we do have some updated plans already, but we're responding to the staff comments from yesterday, so we can definitely provide those to the commission for their review. I'll stop sharing.
Thanks, Mark. Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mark. Mr. Chairman, we are going to need a continuance so we can review those plans. and confirm like the staff's comments. The only other thing, Mark, is with the installation of that septic system, there's going to be like 0 trees on that property. Is there any tree mitigation or tree restoration proposed? Because once those trees come down, this property is going to be like devoid of any trees.
We haven't proposed any yet, but since we're continuing, I can work with the owner and see what we can propose, and I'll run it. Happy to run it by you guys as well before getting
Thank
to
you.
the hearing, but we can take a look at that.
Yeah, I'm looking back at all the aerials. There's just, once you take those out, there's going to be nothing. So we would like to probably see some trees back on that property. Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Alyssa.
Nothing to add. Thank you.
All right. Commissioner comments. Maury.
No comments at this time. Thank you.
All right. Ron.
No, I'm all set. Thank you.
All right. Steve.
Good plan, thank you.
All right. Betsy.
Mark, I must have blanked out for a minute, but why are you reducing, I mean, not that I'm complaining about this, but why are you reducing the size of the patio?
We're actually, by reducing the size of the patio, we're reducing development in the A, and just we're basically balancing the site out so we don't require mitigation by reducing that patio.
Oh, so you're taking out, we're compensating for the shed.
The shed is still to be compensated for. That was a comment that came up by staff. But we're basically, by removing a portion of that patio, we're trying to balance out the need for mitigation. That patio as well, it's amazing, has been there, was in the 1960s aerials too. But yeah, that's the reason, just to reduce development in the A zone.
Okay, thanks. I'm just, yeah. That's it, Jamie. Thanks.
All right. Courtney.
Mark, the usual question about why not do a D night, or are they planning to sewer down there?
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure the status of sewer on that road. You'll see there is a placeholder for the future IA if it's a requirement, but at this time they're just not proposing it because it does meet all the other current Board of Health regulations for setbacks.
I know, but you can earn some brownie points with the commission, right? And no coal for your stocking, you see. No other questions.
All right. Kevin.
No questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right. I'll point out there was 2 letters of support from abutters that you guys should have seen. They were passed around, so it's a positive thing. It's always good when the neighbors are on board.
Yep.
All right, Jen, what are we looking for?
Well, the staff needs to review the architecturals to make sure that they are, they comply with your regulations and that they match the site plan. Mark needs to go back and figure out the shed issue. So we might be seeing some mitigation, and we do really want the applicant to look at restoring some trees on the property. So
do we want to
continuances.
continue?
And what times, Jen? What times are available?
The 15th.
Isn't that Mark, do you have a request for us?
Yeah, I request to continue to the 15th.
Heard, so move.
Gladfelter, second.
Hold on. Too many chairmen in this. Jen, is there anything in the public chat function, please?
Nothing in the public chat function, Mr. Chairman, and this will make 3 continuances to the 15th if you're concerned.
I'm concerned. All right. All right. I'm sorry, who made the motion? Who made the second?
Courtney made the motion, I made the second.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second to continue this till January 15th. Last call, questions, comments, questions? We're voting on the continuance. Betsy,
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney,
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Carla Hawk's eye.
Ron,
Driscoll, aye.
and Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have continued this to January 15th. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Merry Christmas.
You too, everybody.
All right. Next up, continued request for hearing under a notice of intent. Clayton Jones, 100 Garnet Avenue, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to reconstruct a deck, install a pool with a patio, construct a front entry and shed, reconfigure the front walk and parking area, construct a new set of access stairs, and install mitigation plantings. And for the record, the quorum excludes yours truly. Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I've promoted Mike Borselli from Falmouth Engineering and Angela Tanner from Crawford Land Management to present their project.
Mr. Borselli, you're up, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. For the record, my name is Michael Borselli from Falmouth Engineering, and I represent the applicant. I'm joined tonight by Angela Tanner of Crawford Land Management. With your permission, I'd like to share my screen.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to start by refreshing your memory of the site location at 100 Garnet Ave. It's the second to last property in Falmouth before the Bourne town line. It has frontage on Squatigue / Magansett Harbor. To the west, way off to the west is Magansett Harbor proper, and the town landing and Magansett Yacht Club are off to the west in this location. The site has frontage on Garnet Ave. It's a peninsula. You can see the woodland around the site, and there's an area in here that is open that I'll get to in a minute. I'm now sharing the revised site plan prepared by our office. If you remember, Angela and I opened the hearing on December 4th. We went through the general project elements, and then I advised you that the staff had found a drawing in the archive from 2001 that had suggested that there may have been some unpermitted clearing of that area I just showed you on the aerial photo, and that there was going to be a need to do some restoration. We had met with staff, and I think we worked out a acceptable strategy. We revised the plans, and the revised plans are before you tonight, and I'll go through what we did for revisions. Angela can talk about the landscape plan and the mitigation planting, and then we're happy to take questions. So the project in general, there's an existing house on the property. The peninsula is surrounded by a non-eroding coastal bank, and then at the base of the bank is a salt marsh system. So we've added to the plan the associated notice-driven zone A's and outer buffer zone B's. And all of the proposed improvements have been designed to meet FWR 10.18 in that they don't go closer than the present primary structure to the nearest wetland resources. In this case, coastal bank in one place and the salt marsh in another. The improvements include removal of a smaller deck and reconstruction with a larger deck, a small plunge pool, is proposed on the west side. There is a shed on the south side and a new entry. I'll zoom in on that for you. Shown here is proposed entry. And then some alterations to the driveway, which is paved to help offset mitigation planting requirements. The impervious surface calculations were submitted. The net increase resulted in a need for 1,100 square feet of mitigation planting. And we're proposing that in an area that is suitable and meets all your requirements. It's more than 10 feet from the house. It supplements the buffer to the coastal bank and salt marsh on the north side. The details of that mitigation are on the Crawford Land Management Plan. The most significant planting area is crosshatched and is on the southwest side of the property. This crosshatched area is all proposed restoration of an area that evidently was altered by a previous owner to Mr. Jones, and he understands the ramifications of that, and he understands that that has to be restored. So the entire no disturbance zone A in existence at the time is proposed to be restored, and the plant specifications are on the Crawford Land Management Plan. We received an updated staff report, and without putting words in staff's mouth, it seems like they were satisfied with most of the initial staff report concerns. I'm hoping that we addressed those and we took their advice on how to do the restoration. The new and updated staff comments are, I think, I'd characterize as bookkeeping, things that we can easily address and fix, and I'll just run through those very quickly. Point one says that there was some regrading proposed outside the limit of work. That was an oversight on our part, and that's right here. If you see where I'm circling, there's a limit of work right here, and I show a couple proposed contours on the wrong side of that. So we can regrade that on this side of the limit of work. We're happy to submit a revised plan for that. There's a comment about some brush piles, existing brush piles along the top of the bank that should be removed. No question. Happy to have that as a condition. There's a comment about showing reserve areas on the plan. So what that means is part of our project includes removing a significant part of the paved driveway, this circular driveway that I'm circling. A large part of that, over 1,400 square feet of pavement, is proposed to be removed. And then this green cross-hatched area was a reinforced turf parking area for occasional use. Staff was concerned that if that doesn't hold up, that there's a possibility that the applicant may want to let it revert back to come back and redo it as some impervious surface. So they wanted us to designate a place for additional mitigation on the property, which we could do. We can submit the plan that shows that quote unquote reserve mitigation area is what we talked about. The alternative would be to just not do any more impervious and just let that go revert back to grass area, in which case we wouldn't need the additional mitigation. But we're happy to add it to demonstrate we can show it on the plan. There's a comment about the restoration buffer area plant spacing to be 4 feet on center. We understand that and expect that to be the case. The Crawford Land Management Plan doesn't show the limit of work, so I'm sure Angela can add. It's on there, but it's very faint. You can't see it, so she'll make it so it's obvious. and consistent with the limit of work shown on our plan. Staff recommends that there be some tree mitigation, and that should be planted in the originally proposed location. We're fine with that. Angela can further comment if necessary on that, but I'm hoping we can just work that out with staff. And there's a question as to why there are no trees proposed as restoration in the disturbed buffer. It wasn't clear to us what, if any, or how many trees may have been cut back in vintage 2001 through 2004, but we're sure the owner will be happy to work with staff to provide some tree restoration, and I'm hopeful you'll allow us to work that out with staff. Huckleberry was size of the plant size was specified as 1 gallon size, and staff said that it should be larger. So most certainly agreeable to that. And then the final one was the commission will need to determine if sweet fern can be approved as shown on the planting plan. We're happy to defer to the commission on that, and if there needs to be a change in that plant species, we're certainly willing to accept a condition. And I think I am done, and I can turn it over to Angela, or we can just take questions at this point. If Angela has anything to add, go for it. Otherwise, we're here for questions.
Angela Tanner from Crawford Land Management for the record. I don't think that I have anything to add. I think Mike was pretty thorough. So if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them.
All right, fair enough. Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Mike, I'm sorry on the staff comment about the mitigation at 4 feet. What did you? What was your comment on that one?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was looking. I had Angela's plan a second ago. This room isn't that big, and for some reason it went poof, and I can't find it anywhere.
Well, there was a staff comment about the plant spacing in the restoration area, that it should be 4 feet on center. I think Angela may have specified some greater spacing. So we defer to the commission and staff on that.
Okay, and I think where we were going, Angela, is you had a note on the mitigation that it was 3 feet on center, and the board has been kind of loosening that to 4 feet. So we kind of figured, and then some of it, you had 3 feet on center up here, and then kind of 5 feet on center down there. And we were just like, just make it all 4 feet. And so that should kind of spread some of that mitigation out for you and kind of tighten some of the restoration area down.
Okay.
And Angela, can you fit some trees in that restoration area? I mean, that goes really down low, so it shouldn't affect any sort of.
Yeah, the only reason that we moved them, there was I think a note about why did we move them, and it was because some previous projects we had been told that the mitigation trees needed to be in the mitigation area, so that was just trying to stick with that. But I think we can put some back where they originally were, and then have some in the mitigation area too, if that's what you're looking for.
Okay. No trees, and then Mike, you'll revise the plan to show the reserve area. I mean, there are a lot of revisions. They're minor revisions. There are a number of them, but if the commission feels confident, we can work with Mike and Angela on the revised plan. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Alyssa.
Nothing to add. Thank you.
All right, commissioner comments. Ron.
It's a beautiful site, and you've done a lot of work. I'm sure we can work out the details on making conditions on the revised plan. I have no further questions. Thanks.
All right, Steve.
Yes, thank you for responding to staff's comments. I think we got it. All done.
Thank you.
Excellent. Betsy.
I just have a question, and this is, I guess, for Jen and Angela and maybe Maury. is that I noticed many of the trees down where you're going to do the restoration, the trees that exist a little outside are locust. And they tend to kind of spread.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just making that as a comment. I mean, I would hate to have to come back and have to kind of pull most of them out. I like trees and I don't like to pull them out, but they really are kind of invasive.
They are they're technically native, but they're also on the state listed invasive list. They're, I think, might be the only native plant that's on that list. We did not talk with the homeowner about the possibility of removing the trees. I don't think he wants to remove the trees, as we'd obviously have to be replacing them with other things. But I'm sure it's something, is that something that if he wanted to do at a future date, I mean, I don't see why that couldn't be added to the.
Or I guess I was thinking just to keep a watch on it, because they can start, they'll spread.
Yeah. Are you suggesting some kind of that they may want to treat new seedlings or pull them?
No, Jen, Maury.
Well, amazingly, I don't know if I'm on mute. There's only what, 3 there, or 3 or 4 now?
Yeah.
Which, is not that invaded at this point. And they're larger.
I guess just keep a watch.
I would just keep an eye on it. And if it becomes, Angela, when you're working out there, if you see seedlings and everything else, just come talk to us.
Okay.
And, the little seedlings, we can just pull them as we go. Yeah, just come talk to us.
Okay.
We can either administratively approve that, or if it gets to be a problem, come back as an amendment and kind of deal with it through an amendment process.
Okay.
I mean, you're going to have 5 years on this permit because of that Permit Extension Act, so.
Yeah, well, obviously it's a beautiful site.
It is.
And it will be nice when all of this is done, all the restoration of the buildings are done, and all the restoration of the vegetation.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
That's all, Jamie.
All right. Courtney.
Follow up on Betsy's comments on the locust trees. If you've got them on there, I speak from personal experience. I have them on my property. They have a very shallow root system, and they spread essentially by running their roots out and then popping up.
Right.
And I've had them wrap around a water main and break it. So it's something you may want to consider getting rid of and planting something else there.
While we're doing the restoration work. Okay.
Yeah. The other question I had, the pool.
Here we go.
Is that got a fence around it, or is this a fish pond?
I can speak to that. That'll have an auto cover. And the building code allows auto covers as an alternative to a security fence.
Okay.
I spoke to the Gary Street about this exact topic, and there is a provision in the building code that allows you to have an auto cover in lieu, a secure auto cover in accordance with ASTM standard, which I can't recall, that is a substitute for a security fence.
And so that's what you're speccing on this.
Yes.
Okay. No coal. No other questions.
Wow. Kevin.
No questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right. Maury.
The only question I had, we were concerned about the density of the plantings in the last hearing. And, it's 4,000, roughly, is it 4,000, Angela, square feet of?
The restoration area. Yeah, 4,000 square feet.
Yeah, and there's only 300, I mean, I did the math and and I mean, I'm not against the plan, but when you see all your little dots that I think are milkweed and, asters and things like that, it's
Mhm.
just not woody indigenous. It's basically a pollinating wildflower garden down there. And on a coastal bank like this and in an area that, should be restored with woody indigenous, not milkweed and asters. Because the rest, if everybody looks at the plan, it's all those little pockets are, not really woody plants. They're pretty plants. And I personally, at 13 foot on, I think I figured out it's about, I don't know, something, it's not 4 foot on center. It's about 13 foot on center for woody indigenous.
So when we did this plan, I might debate with you the value of the herbaceous species. Most of the shrubs get 3 times the width of what's shown on the plan or what the spacing would be. And so our goal with restoration projects, if we can, is to make them affordable to a client so that they actually want to do a restoration project. And when we force them to put plants, 3-4 feet on center, it becomes kind of cost prohibitive. But we also heard the comments from Jen and Alyssa about 4 foot spacing. So I think we are definitely planning to fix that in the next round, working with staff to fix that so that it's more dense. So that it, I think we've resolved that.
I've been actually supporting the, not planting so close together. But again, when you put a scale on this, again, it's just not a dense, woody indigenous. I just think it's very sparse for 4,000 square feet with only 300, whatever. I had 300 plants and 4,000 square feet on a coastal bank. But that's just me. And if everybody's happy with it, I will be happy with it, but I'm not right now.
Jen?
Maury, they said, like, we pointed that out, so we'll work with Mike and Angela to tighten that spacing up in that restoration area, because we're gonna loosen it in the mitigation area because it's way too tight up there. So we are gonna have more plants down in that restoration area.
All right, because really, it's if you read the plan, there aren't very many, and the sweet fern is, thank goodness you didn't fill it with sweet fern, but it's just not. When you're done, it's going to be a lot of grasses and a lot of little plants. Anyway, thank you.
All right, Jen, is there anything in the public chat function, please?
Nothing in the public chat, Mr. Chairman.
All right, what are you guys thinking?
Well, Jen, are you comfortable enough to work with Angela and Mike?
Yeah, we'll be fine. It's a lot of little changes, but I think we can work it out.
Okay, in that case, I'll make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Bird second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to close the hearing. Last call, questions, comments? All right, you're voting to close the hearing. Betsy?
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney?
Bird eye.
Kevin?
O'Brien eye.
Maury?
Hello, Hawk's eye.
Ron?
Driscoll, aye.
Steve?
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous with this quorum. We've closed this hearing. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Angela.
Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. Happy holidays.
You too.
Okay, Angela's good. Mike, I know you're staying, so I'm not going to say happy holidays to you yet.
Hey, probably see me tomorrow.
Cool. All right, next up, Richard C. Barrett, trustee, Richard C. Barrett Revocable Trust, number 3, Childs River Road, East Falmouth, Mass. for permission to install a vinyl sheet piling bulkhead behind a failing timber retaining wall. And for the record, you're opening simultaneously number 9 Childs River Road, LLC, 9 Childs River Road, East Falmouth, Mass, for permission to install a vinyl sheet piling bulkhead behind a failing timber retaining wall. Jen.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. Yes, along with Mike Borselli, I have promoted Brad Holmes from ECR and Brian Wall from Troy Wall and Associates to present their project.
All right, before you guys begin, Alyssa, confirm with me, please. Maury's not on this quorum. Sorry, Maury. You're on break. All right. Who's starting?
I will, Mr. Chairman.
I'm sorry, Mike. Mr. Borselli, you're up, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. Again, Mike Borselli, Falmouth Engineering. I represent the applicant along with Brad Holmes from ECR and Brian Wall of Troy Wall and Associates. With your permission, I'd like to briefly share my screen.
Yes, sir.
Just for reference, this is the plan. We haven't submitted any revised plans since October 18th, which was subsequent to your initial public hearing on this, where we talked about your issues and concerns with construction of the replacement sheet pile wall. Just to refresh your memory, this is a proposal to install a new vinyl sheet pile retaining wall having approximate height of 3 feet above mean high water, directly behind a previously licensed timber wall that has over time deteriorated to the point where the top section of the sheets has either broken off or been cut off, basically flush with the ground surface. When I say either deteriorated or was cut off, I say that because there was an order of conditions from many years ago where the commission conditioned that portions of that be flush cut, and that the owner at the time accepted that condition. What's happened over the past several years is the tides have risen. We have more frequent higher tides, as I think you've all experienced. The property directly across the water body is currently undergoing a fairly substantial renovation, reconstruction, I should say. And there's many boats on that side that create propeller wash due to the turning movements and turbidity. So the two naturally higher tides combined with the man-made increase in activity have caused some erosion of the bank, and the bank happens to have salt marsh vegetation, high marsh vegetation, I'd like to note, not classic salt marsh vegetation, but it is a salt marsh band, and we show it on the plan. I'll zoom in on that. And DMF made some initial comments which sort of triggered the conversation about the salt marsh, and we came up with some ideas and in ways to enhance that salt marsh, and also described in reports from ECR and narratives from Falmouth Engineering, how we're of the opinion that the existing salt marsh band combined with the enhancement of the salt marsh band will grow and will be able to thrive, because the wall we're proposing is not cutting off the source of salt water, which we all know salt marsh needs to be in. There has to be saltwater intrusion into the salt marsh area on higher spring tides. That's what the vegetation likes. So there's two ways the tide waters flow to that area behind the wall. First, the returns on the wall do not intercept. They still allow on both ends, and I actually witnessed it as recently as yesterday. Water flows from this side freely behind the wall, and from the northeast it flows freely behind the wall. That won't be impeded because the returns don't block that. In addition, we're proposing weep holes in the wall. So Brad has provided written reports and argued why we feel this will work and why we believe it will work. It's really not my area of expertise, but I just tried to summarize it in a real layman's way. We did provide that revised plan in the reports to Division of Marine Fisheries. And because of the Thanksgiving holiday, they weren't able to get their subsequent comments back to us. So we had asked for a continuance to allow that to happen. They did submit them last week, and there's really nothing in there from our point of view that's different from the original report that we had already commented on, either through a narrative about construction methodology from my office or comments on the salt marsh planting methodology, and examples were provided of another similar project where this was proposed, and that salt marsh is thriving today. So that was a little more long-winded than I think I needed to be to bring you up to speed. We're just here to take final questions and respond to any comments if need be from you. We won't be asking for any further continuances. And I'll stop sharing.
Thanks, Mike. Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, as Mike said, the Division of Marine Fisheries continues. Their comments really haven't changed. They continue to have concerns that this salt marsh will be altered as a result of the wall, even with the proposed weep holes. And so staff does still continue to have these same concerns. And I guess that's really all we have is we're going on a leap of faith here, and I'm just not quite sure that this will work, and that marsh will not be altered. And that's all I have.
All right, Alyssa.
No comments. Thank you.
All right, Jen, did we ever get the pictures from?
Yep, Erica sent them, and she sent them to Lori, who should have forwarded them all to you. They were sent. I'm looking at them right now. They were sent back at late November.
All right. All right, Commissioner comments. Steve.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I couldn't add anything to the staff comments.
Okay. Betsy.
Yeah, I'm with Jen on this. I do agree that Brad did a nice job on, I think it was it Dennis or Yarmouth restoration, but that was open to the full flushing of the tides. And I did ask in the last meeting sort of what the design of this weep hole is. So what percent is going to be open and what percent is going to be solid? If you put all these weep holes together, what's the dimension of the weep holes and what percentage is open?
I can add a little bit of detail to that. As Mike has on the plan, they're designed to be 6 inches above the surface, the restored surface. This is something that I documented. It's going to need a lot of monitoring for the first growing season. We may have to plug a weep hole. We may have to add a weep hole. We may have to add a weep hole at a different elevation. But once we have that able to, monitor that and see how the system works and tweak it during the first growing season, I think that we'll be able to understand the system and, allow it to grow. As Mike said, we do have open-ended areas on either side so that that we'll get that flow from there. But I think what we're kind of focused on is Spartina, that upper Spartina grass, the Peytons, which in alternative flora would be at the wetter Spartina at the seaward edge. If we get into a scenario where we find that the salt marsh is not able to, the salt marsh grass isn't able to survive, there's no reason why we wouldn't be able to amend it to an upper salt marsh environment. We could use black grass, we can use high tide bush. High tide bush go along well with the groundsel bush that's there. So we don't have to be just focused on two types of salt marsh species to restore that band. It's a restoration. We can get some diversity there and add different species. That's something where, again, it's going to be monitored for the first growing season. There's not a formula that I can give the commission that says at this inch we're going to have this rate of flow and that inch is going to be that adequate. It's going to be monitored and tweaked as it moves along. The site in Dennis that we provided the commission with, that was bordered with coir logs along the edge, so it wasn't just a free open earth to the river on all sides. They were bordered with coir logs, so they did have a border of a barrier. It wasn't it's not a vinyl wall, but it did have a barrier between the salt marsh and the water. So and that, as you saw from the monitoring reports that were through the 3 growing seasons, and then it's almost 10 years, those areas have done very well. And we didn't, that was just Spartina grasses in there. So I think that my opinion is what do we have to lose in the sense that if we do nothing, that salt marsh is going to continue to erode. There's only a little bit of salt marsh hanging on, salt marsh grass being Spartina hanging on before the groundsel bush. If we can restore that band, we'll have Spartina grasses to allow that protection to what's there. And if we find that the Spartina grasses aren't achieving at least 75% plant survival, then we can add high tide bush and convert some different salt marsh grasses there. I'm sure that it will work, but yeah, there's a leap of faith because I don't know if any other project that has had salt marsh restoration like this between a wall and an existing bank, but it's a good opportunity to try to restore it.
So I'm going to go back to my question. What percent of the barrier is open?
Right now, it's I'm going to estimate it because I didn't calculate it, but I would say that, I mean, there's going to be weed poles right at the intertidal zone that are going to, on a linear basis, probably will provide on the order of about 5% opening. That could be adjusted after we monitor, but then the ends are 100% open.
So, I mean, water movement is key here. And if you have enough water movement with weed poles, you're not going to solve your problem about erosion behind the area. So
I understand what you're saying.
Like an upper salt marsh, that the Spartina Peytons in the upper salt marsh and high tide bush, that environment doesn't get a routine flushing every day. That's more of a spring tide scenario. So we don't want a flow of water traveling through the restoration area, 2 times a day. It's more of the spring tides.
I still, even with the spring tides, it's not going to provide that much water movement. And that's what the growth of those plants is going to be dependent on. Unless you think these high marsh plants are going to serve to anchor the edge of the where it's being eroded now.
I believe that, yes.
Can you come up with any other areas that show restricted pockets of marsh? I mean, if there's not enough water movement, it's going to be a mosquito hole. I mean, that's what's happening with marshes today. Areas where you get sort of, they're not entirely dead, but they're kind of dead zones.
I did notice when I was there, I've been there several times, I noticed that the ebb and flow of the Childs River is lateral or parallel to the shore. So when that water flows and ebbs, it flows behind the wall. It's almost like a channel. So it moves ebbing to the northeast and I'm sorry, flooding to the northeast and ebbing to the southwest behind the wall, because both ends of the wall are open. The weep holes just sort of allow more tidal intrusion. They don't really provide a lot of opportunity for flow. That's my
but the wall's not there now. I mean, the wall's flush cut. I mean,
Right.
when I was there, there was plenty of flow, but there are plenty of fish there too.
Mm-hmm.
Once you put something up, I can't remember how high you're planning to have it.
We're also proposing to add sand as a medium for planting. That's what was used in the Dennis project. So that type of medium is going to allow for saturation quicker. So it's not something that's going to be a heavy organic that's going to prevent, water to get into the substrate. So I would think that even without flow, you're going to have saturated conditions to keep the root zone wet.
Well, I have no further questions.
All right, Courtney.
No, I don't have any other questions. I mean, one of the assumptions that it appears this project is based on is that sea level will remain constant, but
Yeah.
we know that isn't going to happen. So what's going to happen in 20 years when the sea level rises a foot?
Well, what may happen is even less than that. We might continue to have erosion that undermines that band that's there. And we won't have probably any salt marsh at some point in the future. I just can't predict when that is, but it could be sooner than later. And then we wouldn't be having a conversation about salt marsh because there wouldn't be any salt marsh to protect.
Well, yeah, and truthfully, if a sea level rises a foot, and when it does, this isn't going to be the only property that has a problem.
Right, understood.
No other comments and no coal.
Oh, I think you're just hoarding all the coal.
I think you
right.
should give Brian coal just for old time's sake.
I knew someone was going to say that.
Yeah, Mike earned some once before, so.
Well, I'm sure he'd be glad to give it to Brian
No, but
this time.
his presentations have gotten much better.
I still have the coal.
We digress. All right, moving on. Okay with the project, Betsy. I heard everything you said. I just, if there's any place that should be used as a, well, I hate to use the word, but partial experiment, this is a good place for it.
Yeah.
That's just my 2 cents. Kevin.
Couldn't possibly follow up with that conversation. Thank you.
Ron.
Same thing as Kevin. I can't possibly add anything to this. But except, the whole question is, are we going to take a leap of faith or not? No. I'm ready to take a leap, and this sounds like they put a lot of work and effort into this, and it's a good place to do it.
Yeah. And at my age, it's an easy bet.
Mm-hmm.
I won't be around for the problem.
Hey. All right. Certainly this project, there hasn't been a lack of effort, so.
Yeah.
Jen, is there anything in the public chat function, please?
Nothing in the public chat, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Brian, you've been quiet. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have nothing to add. This is all scientific. I'm gonna stay in my lane.
Smart man. All right. And just to be clear, this is simultaneous with number 9. So whatever we vote or not is for both. All right, last call. Questions or comments? What are you thinking, folks?
Make a motion to close number 3 and number 9 and take them under advisement. Charles
Just a
River.
second.
All right. We have a motion and a second to close these hearings. All right. If there's nothing else, we're going to vote. Betsy.
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney.
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin.
O'Brien, aye.
Ron.
Driscoll, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. With this quorum, we have closed the hearings for number 3 and number 9. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Mr. Borselli. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you very much. Happy holidays,
Thank
everyone.
Same to you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Happy
Good night, gentlemen.
holidays
Happy holidays.
to anyone.
Mike's the only one with red and green on.
Good, I did that on purpose.
I know, I noticed it.
Green for environmentally sensitive. Have a good night.
Oh,
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Mike is sensitive.
Oh.
All right.
Doesn't my green sweater count? No?
My green shirt? Apparently not.
I don't know.
Hey, we're not sensitive, I guess.
No,
Top liver here.
Steve is also environmentally sensitive, right, Steve?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
How can you say no?
So's Jamie. So's Jamie tonight.
That's what we're pointing out.
Are we done yet? Next up, David Ryan, Cape Cod Oyster Company, Megansett Harbor, North Falmouth, Mass. For permission to change the aquaculture method used in sites number A15-06 and number A17-02 from culturing oysters in bottom cages to the use of a floating culture system. Jen.
Mr. Chairman, this was continued for a DEP number, which we still do not have. We were contacted by DEP today to send them an electronic version of this application. They just weren't able to review it. So I would
think
say, I
Lori
know I
got-
promised nothing to the 8th, but I mean, this is going to be open close. So can we
I think
continue this
Lori
to
got
the
the email, Jen.
I just looked.
Oh,
We do have a DEP number?
she told me
Hang
it
on.
came through earlier.
It did come.
Okay, I'm
Hold on.
let me double check real quick because I was watching all the DEP numbers that were coming in today. I could have missed this one, and I did. My apologies. I had just looked on the lookup. They're not putting them on the lookup.
No.
So this one does have a DEP number. My apologies. Thank you, Alyssa. And I guess we can close this one.
All right, I'm going to ask for
I'll make a motion to
posterity.
close this
Hold
hearing
on.
and take it under advisement.
Attention when I'm talking. Jen, is there anything in the public chat function?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And the applicant is not on board tonight?
No, because we reached out to him earlier today and told him he didn't have a DEP number. So, but we'll get him. Yeah, we'll reach out to him tomorrow and let him know he's good.
Okay. All right, we have a motion to close the hearing. Do we have a second?
Driscoll, second.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second. Actually, hold on. I have that Ron and Steve are not on this forum.
That's correct.
Then I'll make the second.
Good.
Sorry about that. I should have looked at that first. All right. At any rate, we have a motion and a second, and we do have a quorum, so we can close it. All right, we're voting to close the hearing. Betsy.
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney.
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin.
O'Brien, aye.
Maury.
Arlo Hawk's eye.
All right, it is unanimous with this quorum. We have closed this hearing. Sorry for the confusion. Thank you. All right, next up's Cindy Coates, trustee, 187 Penzance Road, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to install restoration and mitigation plantings in accordance with Mass DEP number 25-4608, renovate an existing boathouse, including roof alterations, relocate mitigation plantings, remove several dead and diseased trees, and maintain an existing path. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicant is requesting a continuance until January 15th.
Bird so move, and the reason?
We're working through the plan with the applicant and the applicant's representatives.
Carl Hawk,
Driscoll
second.
second. All right.
Ron, I'm taking your second, more. You're not on this quorum.
Right.
Sorry, Maury.
All right. So the motion in the second is to continue this until January 15th. Questions or comments? We're voting on the continuance. Betsy?
Unfilter eye.
Courtney?
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin?
O'Brien, aye.
Ron?
Driscoll eye.
Steve?
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have continued this until January 15th. Maury, you might want to consider reading up on this under the Mullen rule. Just saying. Or any of them, actually.
I'll get right on it.
Oh, man.
There's no respect at all.
You know. If Courtney was chair, he wouldn't tolerate this crap.
That's right.
All right, next up. John and Lisa Almquist, 43 Neves Way, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to construct and license a new walkway and pier, construct a patio, shed, landing, and stairs, remove hardscape, and install plantings. And before we go any further, quorum excludes Ron. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I promoted Mark Dibb from Cape and Islands Engineering to present his continued project. Mark, was Brad supposed to stay on with you tonight?
I did not specifically ask him to stay on.
Oh, okay. Because I'm like, where did he go? Okay.
Good evening again, Mark Dibb, with Cape and Islands. So we had previously opened this project. With your permission, I'm going to share my screen.
Yes, sir.
This is the project on Great Pond. There's an existing house. This is the project that the pier and walkway portion of the project has been removed. When we last discussed, I think the biggest thing was the ECR restoration plan had not been updated with the removal of the pier and some of the other conditions and things we worked through with staff. Just to go through a couple items. One thing we've done is this is the property line between the applicant and Neves Way, which is a private way. We've removed any work from that private way. The applicant did want to try to clean up some of this area as far as invasives go, but it's off his property and does not have permission to do so. So we have removed that scope from the project. What that did is reduce the vegetation enhancement area that was in the ECR plan down from about 3,500 square feet to 1,700 square feet. And he did identify that he believed about 60% of this of the invasive area was, or of the area was invasive. So we now have a number that can be used to create a plant quantity. Again, in this project, most of the work is there's a lot of actual reduction of pavement, driveway. There was a net reduction, which did not trigger mitigation as well. Not even included in that reduction is all of that. If you visited the site, this is an entire raised concrete area that will be concrete will be removed and replaced with pervious pavers, so that'll allow some to reduce runoff. So I think the main thing we were trying to coordinate the vegetation enhancement plan and conditions within that. We're definitely this is a site that would really benefit from a pre-construction meeting related to invasive species removal, herbicide application, and then after that is done, then the resulting plantings, we would work closely with staff. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thanks, Mark. Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I think knowing what the square footage is of the revised restoration of invasive species and knowing the percentage invaded, because we didn't have a fairly detailed restoration plan on an actual site plan, we were just going on a narrative. We now have something to work with. We wanted to have some numbers available for the order of conditions so we could set a benchmark of what the commission would expect to be replanted. It was kind of vague to us what was going to happen. So I think this helps us. If Alyssa concurs, then I think that's pretty much the only outstanding issues we had with this part of the project. So that's all. Thank you, Mark.
Alyssa.
No comments. Thank you.
All right. Commissioner comments. We're starting at the top. Betsy.
No comments. Thanks, Mark.
Courtney.
No comments.
Kevin.
No comments, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Maury.
No comments, thank you.
Steve.
No comments, thanks.
All right. Jen, is there anything in the public chat function, please?
Nothing in the public chat, Mr. Chairman.
Make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Bird, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to close the hearing. Last call, questions or comments? We're voting to close the hearing. Betsy.
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney.
Bird, aye. No Cole.
Matthews, aye. Kevin.
O'Brien, aye.
Maury.
Arlo Hawks, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have closed this hearing. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you. Good night, all.
Good night, Mark. Happy
Night,
holidays.
Mark.
You too.
We're gonna have to figure out a special meeting to vote on all these closed.
Yep.
Conditions.
Is it not on the agenda tomorrow night?
Next up, Taylor May Carroll, trustee, 115 Childs River Road, Falmouth, Mass, for permission to license, maintain, and construct an extension on an existing licensed walkway and relocate one existing dolphin pile. The quorum is all of us.
That's me. Hold on.
Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I promoted Chuck Rowland up for Cape and Islands Engineering to present his continued project.
Mr. Rowland, you're up, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Chuck Rowland, Cape and Islands Engineering. I want to thank the staff for working with me and my client on this one. I know that it's been continued several times, and I know it's getting late, so I'll make it quick. I'm going to share my screen.
All right.
Chuck Rowland, Cape and Islands Engineering. I'm representing the owners of 115 Childs River Road. As we discussed, and I'm sure you know, we are proposing a 25-foot extension, pier extension on the existing pier. I have shown the two areas, the berthing spots, as well as the proposed new dolphin pile, which replaces the old one. Here is a cross section of the pier, profile of the pier, and it is getting into deeper water to cause less benthic disturbance when you're pulling the boat in and out, which is a benefit that we feel. We did not have an objection from the harbor master, and the latest revisions are for areas in the upland section of the property. We'll be removing the gravel in the planting bed, and we'll be replacing it with mulch. We also have existing gravel and stepping stones on the north side of the property to be replaced with mulch, and so that eliminates the requirement to mitigate for the stones. Just to review, this is the shellfish report, and no live shellfish of any species was sampled. All data are presented in tables 1 to 3, and we don't have to go over that unless, of course, you have questions on it. And just to review, this is a photo of the site that this commission has approved some work up here on the dock, the deck area, and this is the dock that will be extending out 25 feet. With that, I'm happy to take any questions, and to my knowledge, I have addressed all the staff comments.
Thanks, Chuck. Jen?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Chuck, did you say something about a drywall for your clients?
I saw that in the latest staff comments that the gravel on the north side of the foundation plantings on the side yard to the north, stepping stones, be replaced as mulch. I don't. Maybe it was in the email. The client did not request to me. He didn't request it. Obviously, it's in the buffer to the wetlands, so we would have to get that approved if we put one in.
Okay. So just a note that all that gravel and everything is going to be removed before we proceed with the dock, correct? Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's all I want. Thank you. I'm all set, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Alyssa?
No comments. Thank you.
All right. Jen, are you implying that you want us to require a dry well?
We'll work with the applicants. I mean, they had put the gravel because they said they were having the house is built on a slab. So there's no basement. So they were having water issues, which is why they put the gravel. They didn't want to mitigate for the gravel around the house, plus all the gravel they had put to kind of create like a side area. They chose to mulch. We'll see what happens, and if they want to address drainage in the future, we'll work with them in the future.
Okay.
I can't force them, so we'll see what happens.
No, I want to make sure I was clear on it, that's all.
Yeah. I mean, we told them that, they were still probably going to have a water issue and that a drywall would probably be best.
Yeah. All right. Commissioner comments, Courtney?
No comments.
Kevin?
Other than the harbor master was happy with this going out further into that estuary.
Yeah, yeah, he did not have an objection. I thought that was about as good as I was going to get from him. And I did show on the plan that to the north there's the salt marsh that protrudes out and on the one of the southerly abutters, there's a pier that it protrudes out, and we are about actually I have to mention it. We're 23 feet inside of that, and the way I've designed the pier, there's no way to put a boat on the ocean side of the pier. So we're within abutting structures.
Okay, thanks, Chuck. No other questions.
All right, Kevin.
No questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
All right, Maury.
I was going to ask the same question. I didn't see a letter from Greg, but he was okay with this? Usually we ask you to submit a letter from the harbor master to be in the file, just so we know. I
think we have something from Greg Moore. It's in an email.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Perfect. And the only other thing is that obviously you're trying to get out of the mud, and that's why you're extending this. So looking at the size of the boat, that it only goes in bow first, because if you go in any other way, you're going to be in the mud again. So that would be good to just have it bow first.
Yeah, we'd be happy with that to be in a condition.
Usually we make it a T, but so that doesn't happen.
All right, you good, Maury?
Yeah, I just don't want it to become a marina with more boats. Yeah, I mean, it's nice that the big boat's going to be out there, but now they're going to be smaller boats in the shallower water. So, I mean, we used to condition that every 3 years you did a benthic study to see how much turbidity and prop washes in on shore, but we don't do that anymore.
Interesting.
Thank you.
All
Just
right,
looks like
Ron. Ron, you're on mute.
All right, my sensitive smoke detectors have stopped. I have no comments on this.
Steve.
I have no comments either, sir. Thank you.
All right, Betsy.
Thanks.
All right. Jen, is there anything in the public chat function, please?
Nothing in the public chat, Mr. Chairman.
Make a motion to close the hearing and take it under advisement.
Third, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to close the hearing. Last call, questions or comments? We're voting to close the hearing. Betsy.
Buttfelter, aye.
Courtney.
Bird, aye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin.
Brian, aye.
Maury.
Carlo Hawks, aye.
Ron.
Driscoll, aye.
Steve.
Patton, aye.
It is unanimous. We have closed this hearing.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Chuck. Happy holidays.
You as well.
All right, next up, hearings under an enforcement order. Jane, sorry if I say this wrong, Sahagian, 21 David, I think that's supposed to be Davis, Neck Road, Falmouth, Mass. Unpermitted vegetation removal, installation of a patio, and construction of a staircase within conservation jurisdiction. Jen.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we do not see Mr. Sahagian here. We did send him a certified letter. Alyssa, you did email him this afternoon, correct? He has decided not to be with us this evening. In cases like this, we have continued the matter to a later date. We will try to contact the person one more time. And my advice would be, if they do not show up or attend our continued hearing on this matter, then we will present the violation and we will recommend the board vote of an enforcement order. So right now, I recommend continuing this until January 15th.
Bird, so move.
Patton, second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to continue this enforcement hearing until January 15th. Questions or comments? We're voting on this continuance. Betsy,
Gladfelder, aye.
Courtney,
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin,
O'Brien, aye.
Maury,
Carlo Hawks, aye.
Ron,
Driscoll, aye.
Steve.
Pat and I.
It is unanimous. We have continued this until January 15th. All right. Next up is to vote orders of conditions. Margaret Foffenoff, 30 Woodneck Road, Falmouth, Mass. And the quorum excludes Ron and Steve. However, if you guys don't mind, I'd appreciate if you hung around for a couple minutes.
No problem.
But I understand if you can't.
This was the, it come to us for a septic upgrade under an RDA. Went out there, noticed a lot of unpermitted patios, walkways, reconstructed deck that appeared to be moving closer. Came back, there was only one small area of the walkway that did appear closer than the present primary structure. And they have mitigated for the patio, and their contention is the deck is not on the guest house or shed or whatever that is not moving closer. It's hard to tell. We've looked at it from a lot of different angles from the aerials. If it's moving closer, it's the cantilevered portion. I think, Mr. Chairman, you, me, and Maury discussed that out in the field. So we would like to know where the board stands on all of that. So I think right now it's, what do you want to do about the reconstructed deck? And do you want the portion of the walkway that's actually moving closer to the resource areas? Do you want that to be removed? Other than that, I think Tim's mitigated for everything else that is going on out there.
Okay, hold on, Courtney. Alyssa?
Just to note too that there is some fencing located in the velocity zone that typically you would require to be removed.
That's the big one. We can replace that with a chain link with vegetation screening over it. And I think they were agreeable to that. And we'll work with them on the chain link fencing.
Okay. I'm going to start with commenting. The patio landing, the piece that's a little bit closer, is a few square feet. It's at the base of the stairway.
Yep.
My opinion is we should allow it to stay. It's at the base of the stairway. I think it would be more invasive to have them rework the stairway, and that acting as a landing as a safety feature. I think we could make an exception to that. Thank you. Again, that's my opinion. The deck, I think we all agree it's tough to tell one way or the other. However, again, my opinion, I think the cantilever part, if anything at all grew, it's the cantilever part. And if they're willing to mitigate for it 3-to-1 for that square footage, which I think both Maury and I estimated independently, I got like 28 square feet, and I think she said 30 or vice versa. So we're around that. And they seemed agreeable to that mitigation. The fence, I agree. I think it should be changed to chain link in that section. They have a lot of vegetation, so there's a physical or a visual barrier there anyway. I think, and you already did the gravel driveway. They did the mitigation for the gravel, right?
I believe so, I think.
Yeah, there was some 3-to-1, 2-to-1. All right, so that was my opinion. Courtney, you had your hand up?
It was only about the chain link fence that hadn't been involved, but basically, if you're asking me for my comment at this point, I would agree with your points. I think mitigating for that cantilever on the deck. I think the small amount of area where that patio at the landing intrudes is essentially de minimis. And so I'm okay with it. The only reservation I have is that there was an earlier case that the commission considered down in Woods Hole, in which it was a similar incursion, and it was by about a foot. And I argued that that was de minimis and we should allow it but the commission in turn insisted that the steps be moved back and the deck
Courtney?
done. So, you know,
Courtney?
about
Courtney, you were the one who insisted that that be moved back.
You were the one.
Well, I
Courtney,
wanted basically, Betsy, I wanted to see. I felt we were fine leaving it where it was. And
No, you didn't. You weren't. You were the one who insisted that it move back and be incorporated
Lori,
into
help
the
us out.
staircase.
I'm nodding, agreeing 100%.
Who's it? Are you agreeing
You're
with
having
me
a
or
senior
Betsy?
moment, Court.
All right. Well, anyway, I'm okay with that. And then as far as the fence is concerned, I like the idea of the chain link fence. I would specify that there's a couple of feet underneath it to allow for.
Courtney, we've
passage
already
of
discussed
water.
this. It's a dog fence.
It's a what?
A dog fence.
No, it's not a dog fence.
Yes,
'Cause
it is a
ends.
dog fence. It is
No,
a
no,
dog
that
fence.
fence ends down at the end of the property and it's open beyond that where the marsh is. So I don't see how a dog is restrained.
There's a fence the whole way.
It was there for privacy. When I was on the site and met with the contractor, he was very specific that the purpose of that fence was that they didn't want people walking down Wood Neck Road going up onto the property. There's no dog fence. So I'm fine with a chain link fence. I'm only saying if you're gonna put a chain link fence in there, that there be a couple of feet underneath to allow for
Well,
the
the rest
passage
of
of
us
wildlife.
don't agree with you, Courtney. The rest of us do not agree. We've already had this discussion. They have dogs. They were there when we were there.
And just to say it, at least the chain link allows small animals to get through, and it's not completely blocked off, so they could go around anyway. Coyotes or whatever.
Well, okay. I mean, I'm not gonna follow my sword on this. Christmas time.
And I thought everybody had fallen asleep. All right. Jen.
You're on mute,
Jen,
Jen.
we can't hear you.
I'm gonna
Just me.
find.
Oop.
Speak, Jen.
Oh, I'm going to find that hearing on Woods Hole and I'm going to send it to all of us so that we all know that it was Courtney in Woods Hole that wanted that pulled back. That's all I have to say, Mr. Chairman.
You get your own coal right back
You're
at
going to
you.
get your coal tonight.
Yeah, keep that coal, Courtney.
Oh,
So we need to,
So are we done
mitigation.
discussing?
yes.
So the patio and the landing, if we allow the landing to stay, I believe Tim said that they had already put in 3-1, including that piece. We allow the deck extension that's in a gray area.
It's 84 square feet of mitigation.
Yeah, okay.
So I'll make a motion to issue an order of conditions as discussed.
Second, Hello Hawks.
All right, we have a motion and a second to issue an order of conditions. Last call, questions or comments, except from Courtney. All right, we're voting. To issue an order of conditions. Betsy.
Gladfelter, aye.
Courtney.
Third eye.
Matthews, aye. Kevin.
O'Brien, aye.
Maury.
Hello Hawks, aye.
It's unanimous. With this quorum, we have issued an order of conditions. Thank you for that lively discussion. All right, before you guys go off, a couple of things. So there's no meeting for the next 2 weeks. So Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy New Year to everyone. Reminder, there's a regulatory meeting tomorrow at 3:30. Entertainment at 4. And I don't know if that's it.
Are we going to
You
have
need to set-
schedule order? Yeah, to do the order of conditions.
Yes, we need to set a meeting to vote orders conditions, and Courtney, no, it's not on tomorrow's agenda because I am not a mind reader or I do not have a crystal ball. I had no idea what we were closing tonight.
Okay.
So we couldn't advertise for it.
Wow. Okay.
So is everybody available on Friday, is everybody available Friday on the 27th?
What time?
I'm open to whenever you guys are available.
I'm available in the morning.
About 8 o'clock.
I'm available at 8 o'clock.
Jamie?
Yeah, I'm hesitating because I have an appointment at 10 in Sandwich. So if it doesn't take longer than an hour, I guess we're okay.
Okay, we will set a meeting for 8 o'clock on the 27th, Friday, the 27th, to vote the order of conditions. And Jamie, this should only take 20 minutes.
Yeah. No, yep. I'm good with that. Everybody good with
Okay.
that?
Okay.
Yep.
So,
All right.
Okay.
Last motion. Who wants it?
Motion to adjourn, Harlow Hawks.
Chris,
I'll
second.
second.
Gladfelter, aye.
Bird eye.
Matthews, aye.
O'Brien, aye.
Harlow Hawks, aye.
Chris, aye.
Matt and I.
It is unanimous. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.